So we are here today to stand in solidarity with each other. We are standing in solidarity with each and every person who feels attacked by the rising authoritarianism on our streets, not only in Aberdeen, not only in Aberdeenshire, not only in Scotland, but across the UK and across the world. We say no to the ethnic...
Good evening. Donald Trump has marked the start of his 5-day visit to Scotland with a round of golf. The US President is staying at Turnberry this weekend before he moves on to visit his courses in Aberdeen. While he's here, he'll be having talks with both the Prime Minister and First Minister, as well as trade discussions with the President of the European Commission. Ollie Dickinson's been at Turnberry for us today.
The emaciated child, these photographs, this live stream genocide should never have been witnessed, at least in my lifetime. And I quoted the other day, some of you may have heard of Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a survivor of Auschwitz. And in his little book, Man's Search for Meaning, he describes how soup was given to the inmates of Auschwitz. And it reminded me of this, that when a man cannot change a situation, he is challenged to change his own situation. And we must not stop talking against the genocide, against the famine, which has been made by man. As for Mr. Trump, all I would say is, I could smell the stink right here in Aberdeen when you landed in Prestwick.
That is leading to people going to their doctor and having to seek help for these things. The only thing that will fix it is social change.
Dear President Trump, this is a message for President Trump. Can social media help it find its way? I've got a message for the Scots and some words I'd like to say. I know you share our heritage. I need you to know the Scots are no longer brave. After decades of incompetent governance, our people are now fully enslaved. If you'd spare me a response, what would you do if you were me?
I also have to say, on the subject of Trump specifically, we're seeing 14.8 million.
It is protest. It has now become clear to everyone that Israel and its leadership act as puppets of the United States, used to carry out long-term agendas and dirty work across the Middle East. While Israel follows an outdated and racist ideology, it would not survive without American military. Financially,
towards that position of authoritarianism. We know that we can see that on our streets every week, with protesters being lifted by the police for holding placards, for protesters being labelled terrorists for holding placards. We say, not in our name, never in our name. We are here to stand in solidarity, not only against Trump, but against everything he and his politics stand for. We are here to stand against his obliteration of human rights, of the rights of LGBTQIA+ people, of the rights of people on...
Well, we were told Donald Trump's arrival would bring with it a so-called policing ring of steel, and that has certainly happened today. There has been a major policing operation underway across Turnberry, but what that allowed the President to do was just before 10 a.m. he managed to tee off and take in a round of the golf course here. Let me let you into something. It was a little bit of a bizarre sight, I have to say, because he was being followed by the blasted music of Uptown Girl by Billy Joel and then Memories by Cats. There's definitely been a few times today where it's felt a little bit like a fever dream, but that ring of steel that we spoke about earlier, that's kept protesters away from Turnberry. In fact, we haven't seen a single sign of protesting all day. Those quad bikes, the plainclothes officers and the uniformed police doing their job. A few people, though, did travel from far and wide in support of the President.
We've come up from Liverpool last night, stayed over in Glasgow. Obviously we support MAGA and Trump and what he's doing. So yeah, we just thought we'd get up here while we can.
He's a good man. He's been called everything under the sun. He's been shot at. He's been politically witch hunt. He's a great man.
And then there's the likes of Scott Burgess, the teenager from East Kilbride. Not only met Donald Trump 2 years ago when he was here visiting, he had dinner with him. He's returned here to Turnberry today to see if he can see the President again.
We've not had a chance to see him today. The security's, probably 10 times more than it was the last time, so you're not able to get in the region of him. But maybe, you never know.
Well, tomorrow, this visit, which we've been repeatedly told is a private visit for Donald Trump, will ultimately turn political with the arrival of the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. She'll come to Turnberry looking to secure a trade deal for the EU, and then it will be the turn of the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, and the First Minister, John Swinney, in the coming days.
When a man cannot change a situation, he's challenged to change his own situation. That quote really struck a chord with me. That quote really hit home for me, folks. It's all about taking control when life throws you a curveball. Sometimes you can't change the bigger picture, but you can take steps to improve your own circumstances. And today, I want to talk about a situation that affects so many of us here in the U.S., navigating the complex world of healthcare, especially for seniors on Medicare. But before I dive into that, let's take a quick look at how another country handles healthcare, because it puts our challenges into perspective. In Scotland, they've got a system called NHS Scotland, which provides healthcare to all residents, free at the point of need, funded through taxes. It's been around since 1948, and it's a lifeline for millions, covering everything from doctor visits to prescriptions. Scotland even eliminated prescription fees back in 2011, which is huge. Unlike Medicare here in the US, which primarily serves seniors and certain disabled people, NHS Scotland is universal, meaning everyone, regardless of age, gets access. But here's the thing. While their system is comprehensive, it's still not perfect. Rural areas can face access challenges, and some folks still opt for private care to skip wait times. Now, back here in the U.S., Medicare is our cornerstone for seniors' health care, but let's be real, it can be a maze. Plans, premiums, coverage gaps, it's overwhelming, and the wrong choice can hit your wallet hard. That's where our sponsor, Chapter, comes in. And this is where you can change your own situation. Chapter offers free help to navigate Medicare, finding you the greatest plans tailored to your needs. They search through thousands, and they are unmatched in quality, care, and customer service. They're not tied to one insurance company. They search every option to maximize your savings with a completely non-biased approach with one goal in mind, helping you the most. I got a comment from a subscriber, Michelle, who said, "I'm so grateful I learned about Chapter on this channel, Kevin. I saved a significant amount." And she's not alone. On average, Chapter helps seniors save over $1,100 a year, and for some, it's upwards of over several thousands of dollars. Imagine what you could do with that extra money. Pay bills, treat yourself, cover greens fees on a round of golf, or just have Peace of mind knowing you're not overpaying for health care. Oh yeah, and the best part? It's completely free to get their help. Everyone's picking up the phone and making the easy call to Chapter at 270-467-2426. Don't wait. Open enrollment periods don't last forever, and you don't want to miss out on these savings. Call now, take control, and change your situation for the better. 270-467-2426.
President Trump is in Scotland for a 5-day visit. It puts a little bit of physical space, at least, between him and the growing Epstein fallout in the nation's capital. The president golfing today at his property in Turnberry, Scotland, one of two golf courses the president owns and plans to play during his visit. Trump also plans to meet with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and the head of the European Union Commission for Trade and Tariffs talks. The trip to Scotland, though, is not without controversy. The president has already been met with some large protests, and more are planned for his visit.
He talks about Scotland in a very fond way, but it is less clear if residents of Scotland feel as fondly toward him. There were many supporters who turned out last evening near Glasgow to watch Air Force One arrive, always quite a sight and spectacle, but there were also many protesters who turned out to protest his mere presence here and his policies as well. We talked to Fiona McPherson to give her view about President Trump.
I think we're probably going to have to play nice, but I don't want us to. But you know, America was our ally for so long. We relied on America so much. Now it's an embarrassment. I don't know. It's very, very tricky. I think politically, yes, we've got to play nice. But on the other hand, if we condone his behaviour, what message are we sending out to the world?
Trump's approval has dropped to the lowest of his second term, and perhaps most notably an all-time low of either term among independents. They're a big reason why he won the presidency again. And also notable, he's starting to take hits from the very people who got him elected. That includes MAGA stars who are critical and skeptical of the Epstein excuses. Elon Musk, who continues to attack the administration's handling of this, and Rupert Murdoch, whose paper, The Wall Street Journal, has broken several key stories, shining light on this relationship between Trump and Epstein. So I have to show this handy little chart. We're going to break, but the mentions of Obama hit kind of a high, as the mentions of Epstein also hit kind of a high, just to show you that the knee-jerk reaction to any negative news about Trump is to talk about Obama. Just the life that we're living here in the United States of America.
The life we're living here in the United States of America, described by Abby Phillips as a knee-jerk reaction, paints an interesting picture based on one of the comments I read earlier from Day Struggle that says, "Nothing is changing. We're all poor just trying to survive." Day Struggle's comment, "Nothing's changing and we're all poor just trying to survive," captures a raw sentiment of frustration and stagnation felt by many Americans, including some former Trump supporters. Since January 20th, 2025, when President Trump began his second term, economic policies like tariffs have sparked significant debate. Critics argue these policies have exacerbated the wealth gap, with tariffs increasing the cost of goods, groceries, cars, electronics, putting pressure on working class households. For instance, a JP Morgan analysis estimated that Trump's tariffs could raise $400 billion in revenue, equivalent to a 1.3% GDP tax increase, potentially reducing real disposable income and consumer spending. And this hits hardest for those already struggling, as the cost of living rise outpaces wage growth for many. Polls, like those conducted or at least shared by CNN, reflect this discontent. A recent survey noted that a majority of Americans, including 61% of stock-owning households, opposed tariffs before they were implemented, with many now fearing a recession. Former Trump supporters, particularly those who voted for him hoping for economic relief, may feel disillusioned as stock market volatility, evidenced by the S&P 500's 2.7% drop in a single day, erodes retirement savings and financial security. The wealth gap, already stark, has worsened historically under Republican administrations, with the top 1% reaping disproportionate benefits from policies like the 2017 tax cuts. And when you reflect on the conversation we had earlier in a previous video about how crypto, Bitcoin, the Genius Act, and stablecoins are going to change the game forever, well, then you already know how dire this situation is that's unfolding right now. During Trump's first term, the income share of the wealthiest grew by 17% from 2016 to 2019, while average household incomes for those earning under $250,000 dipped slightly. This trend appears to be continuing now in Trump's second term, fueling sentiments like day struggles from the comment that he left. And to my surprise, I just learned about Trump's ownership of 2 golf courses in Scotland, Turnberry in South Ayrshire and Minnie in Aberdeenshire, I think. And I'll be honest with y'all, I don't know everything, and I'm not at all too proud to be humbled by learning with you throughout all of this. But at the very least, it highlights his global business footprint. And I'm also surprised at the responses I get when I tell people I have more than one YouTube channel and how much revenue they produce across a variety of topics and niche categories. Even more surprising is how well new channels are being started and growing by the folks working directly with me, getting monetized and building diversity in their income, passive revenue, side business strategy through simple methods. I literally give you my phone number and you can call or text me, and it's really gotten folks taking off fast, and the results are phenomenal and they just love it. It's smart, and Trump has different baskets he puts different eggs in. These ventures acquired in 2014 and developed earlier respectively are part of the Trump organization's portfolio but have been controversial. Neither course has turned a profit, with Turnberry's golf business declining and many struggling to attract crowds. Trump invested $400 million in these properties during a financially strained period between 2006 and 2014, raising questions about the source of funds, with Scottish lawmakers even calling for investigations into potential money laundering via some unexplained wealth orders. His recent visit on July 25, 2025, to open a new 18-hole course in Minnie while promoting trade talks underscores his tendency to blend personal business with public office, a move critics find exceptional for a sitting president. These golf courses exemplify Trump's brand of high-risk, high-profile investments, but they also reflect challenges in achieving economies of scale. Golf tourism in Scotland, heavily reliant on wealthy American patrons, has faced hurdles like pandemic-related quarantines and local opposition to environmental impacts, such as the destruction of sensitive sand dunes at Minnie. And for aspiring entrepreneurs, these ventures serve as a cautionary tale. Bold investments don't always yield profits without meticulous market analysis and adaptability. Trump's business career, including ventures like the Trump meme coin and his golf courses, showcases diversification, spanning real estate, media, and now cryptocurrency. While polarizing to some, for instance, CNN and the like, his ability to leverage his brand across industries offers lessons in resilience and opportunity seizing. However, the mixed success of his ventures, like the unprofitable Scotland courses or the Trump coin's volatile value peaking at $75 post-inauguration, but dropping to $7.14 by April, underscores the risks of over-leveraging or misjudging markets. For those inspired to build wealth, diversification is key, but it must be strategic. And why I teach folks how to make YouTube simple and keep costs extremely low and potential profits high. Most people have everything that they need to get started, and it only takes a quick chat before channels start growing subscribers, views, and lives are changing in the process. Macroeconomically, economies of scale where larger operations reduce per unit costs can be a powerful wealth building tool for businesses. Yet, for individuals, people like you, achieving this requires access to capital and markets, which is often out of reach for many feeling poor just trying to survive. Kind of like that comment we read earlier. But understanding budgeting, investing, and debt management is foundational. Resources like community workshops or online platforms can bridge knowledge gaps. So I hope you're going to join us soon and get started. Diversifying income through freelancing, upskilling, or small-scale entrepreneurship can create resilience against economic shocks. Joining groups like the one I've created can provide mentorship and shared resources, fostering collective growth. And I'm extending the invitation to my special community and offering a space for like-minded individuals to collaborate. Because just think, even small, consistent investments in low-cost index funds or real estate, where feasible, can compound over time, countering inflation's erosion of savings. And do you know what that does? It's just one way to address the status quo mindset that Day Struggle's comment reflects as a mindset of resignation, which can trap people in stagnation. And you don't want to be trapped, right? Nobody wants to be stagnant, I wouldn't think. Breaking free requires a shift towards proactive choices, learning from influential and successful figures like Trump without idolizing is a blessing. And as supporters, we can admire his boldness, but while critics point to policies that favor the ultra wealthy like tax cuts and deregulation, which benefit billionaires, the challenge is balancing inspiration from successful figures with a critical eye towards policies that widen inequality. And for those feeling stuck, don't miss what could very well be a wake-up call. Joining a community can provide accountability and motivation. However, systemic barriers like stagnant wages, rising costs, and limited access to capital mean individual effort alone isn't always enough. Advocacy for fairer economic policies, such as taxation or support for small businesses, can complement personal ambition. The struggles voiced by Day Struggle resonate with so many people just like you, especially some now former Trump supporters who expected economic uplift but instead face a continuously widening wealth gap. To break the status quo, we must combine practical wealth building strategies, education, side hustles, and community engagement with advocacy for systemic change. If my community initiative sounds promising and you're ready to take the first step and get a seat at the table, clicking the link below and applying early to secure the current price is a smart move to join a network focused on growth. And if not, that's quite all right. I'm glad you made it to the end of this video. And since you like this one, you're bound to like these coming up next. Pick one and watch.